sad. It turns out when you let people actually choose their own names, they come up with some pretty cool names are one of the more useful social constructs because they're like indicators of who's who when conversing with others and a tool for organization in general. So it's clearly a very important thing in society. And that's why us as trans people get so excited when we finally choose our new name. I think it's just as sad when we get dead names. But seriously, can we talk about how dead naming suck? Like, I know some of you this past Christmas probably had your old name written on presents, and I feel so sorry for you because I remember like the piercing feeling of that, and it's something I do not want to experience again. Well, okay, I mean, look, whether the PS5 is addressed to Odin or Efren, that's still mine. But still, I mean, I can't complain, but it's still, you could have wrote the correct name. But yeah, dead naming isn't the best feeling in the world. And I talked about this in another video, but it wasn't until I started using my trained voice that people finally got my pronouns right. But what I didn't mention was it also wasn't until I started using my trained voice that they actually used my correct name at work. And after all my experiences with dead naming, I think the best way not to get dead named by new people is just to never let them know your previous name before you transition. Even if you're not socially all the way out, if your new name is androgynous, just introduce yourself as that. You don't have to let them know. And that's what I really love about meeting new people in my new form. The greatest part is they don't remember what you look like, they don't remember what you sounded like, and they don't remember your old pronouns or your old name. Oh, and they don't have 1,000 old pictures of you guys in which they talk about how good those days were because of the vibes, and you're just dying inside. It's like, hey, check out this photo. You remember this? Huh? Oh yeah, I remember that. That was pretty nice. What about this one? You remember this one? Yeah, I do. You know, it's almost as if I have a camera roll too. But, you know, bro, the vibes back then. You hear me? The vibes back then were just immaculate. I wish I could go back to those times. You ever wish we could go back to those times, Efren? It's like, one, you're subtly implying that things were better when I wasn't trans, which, sure, maybe for you. And two, for some reason, friends and family think that showing me old pictures is somehow going to lift a spell off of you and you're gonna go back to being a boy all of a sudden, which is totally imaginary. And look, if it is some magical spell turning me into a girl, keep throwing the pics, you know, keep it coming. You know, no one's telling you to stop. But yeah, choosing your new name in the first place is kind of hard. And listen, your name is yours and no one else's at the end of the day. It's up to you to decide what it will be. But a good way to gain points with your parents after you've come out as trans and they're like still a little bit distraught, they're in that distraught phase, you know, is to say, hey, mom, dad, etc. When I was born, you named me and it was beautiful, but you guys were wrong about my gender. So I'd like you guys to help me decide on my new name or even just choose it for me. I promise, like, letting your parents help you choose your new name helps them remember to call you that name instead of your dead name. And while it takes a lot of stress off of you picking it, even if you do want to choose it yourself, it doesn't hurt to let them choose the parameters of it. Like me personally, my mother and father have a thing where like all of the kids they have names begin with a certain letter like E. So out of respect for that, my new name followed that same standard. Like my mother has always supported me in my transition, helps me out when she can, gives me womanly advice. My father tries to. So it's like, why not let them have a say in this new me that we're building instead of being entirely contrarian to what they want from me? And it's always great if when you were in the stomach, your parents planned to name you one of two things depending on your gender. So like they were gonna name you Michael if you were a boy, but ended up naming you Michelle because you were a girl. Like that whole deal makes things 10 times easier because you can just take what you should have been named if you were assigned the correct gender. But another thing about this whole process of choosing a name is just finding a name that matches you. I mean, like, have you guys ever seen someone named Bob or Gerald and then you look at them and you just go, well, yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know, somehow some people just look like their name, even though they were named at birth or sometimes even before. Yeah, that whole concept is baffling to me, but what's even more baffling is that I almost just fell. You know, it's meeting someone and they look nothing like the way their name sounds. You know, those moments where it's just like, you do not look like this. You do not look like the way your name is. And that's something you probably wouldn't want as a trans person. In fact, there's a whole subreddit called trans names, simply so that people can post photos of themselves and people can suggest names that fit what they look like. So yeah, does it make sense that certain names fit certain people, even though the concept of names in general is a social construct? No. Is that just how it is? Well, yeah. So make sure when you're choosing a name, you get feedback on whether the name actually matches you in the first place. And then you're good to go. Another thing people like to do is get their name from like Greek mythology or video games or anime or even movies they like, which by the way is fucking sick. Like meeting someone in real life and their name is like Noelle from Black Clover or something, that would definitely make me smile. When me and you are watching TV or reading a book, sometimes there's a character who we relate to so much in multiple aspects of our lives. I mean, so much so that you're wondering if that character is literally a trans allegory. And sometimes it's not even trans related. There's just something about that character's story that resonates with you deeply. And you want to take that character and make it permanently occurring in your life, such as buying a poster and hanging it up on the wall, making that character your PFP, or getting a themed car sticker. And for some, they resonate with that character so much that they copy their entire name. And it's honestly kind of awesome. I mean, you have a name that's recognizable, but probably rarely ever seen in the real world. So it's cool. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say there's no downsides to this. Some TV names are so fantastical, they're usually not fit to be a name, like Executor. But then again, there are the ones that are probably used a little less in the real world, but still sound like real names. For example, Charmy. This whole world of inheriting names from your favorite piece of media will always be interesting to me. Let's just keep in mind that we are choosing names. It takes money and petition filings to change your name legally. All I'm saying is be really sure once you do get to that point. And speaking of that, a lot of people, after a while of experimenting with their name, feel like they don't have the right one for them, so they change it after a while. I think it's probably healthy to do this sometimes. I mean, you don't vibe with your name and you don't owe anybody anything, so just change it if you don't like it. So I do want to mention it's probably not the best idea to change your name too much, and there are multiple reasons for this. One being like, I mean, how many of us came out as bisexual, then came out as gay, then came out as non-binary, then came out as a trans woman? Mostly this is because we were afraid to accept that we were just trans women at first. Like, we already came out 4 times. I mean, 5 if we're including coming out with our new name eventually. So on top of that, if we're asking people to call us a new name every month, I mean, we're reaching our friends and family's LGBTQ bandwidth. So like, if you're one of those people that opens Netflix and decides what they want to watch after being overwhelmed by choice, only to back out of the show 5 minutes in because you remember there's another show you want to try, and that's me, there's a simple solution. Just try your new name out online while you're playing video games. Or just grab a really good friend and be like, hey, I'm going to be going by a few different names for the next few months so that I could test each one out. I mean, I'm sure they'll understand. And delete Netflix. We need to protest these guys. How many good shows are they going to cancel each year? No, seriously though, when you start experimenting with your name online or with a singular friend, it's fairly safe so that when you do find your perfect name, you can be sure it's absolutely ready for prime time. But yeah, at the end of the day, most trans people just end up choosing something average that slots right into society. And I think it's because a lot of them want to pass or be stealthy. And I'd imagine having an average name can help you pass more in certain contexts. I mean, in the Transig Discord server, there's literally 4 people named Alex interacting in there. It's awesome, wild, baffling, but also scary. I'm wondering if one day all the Alexes are going to rise up and do a coup on our company. It's going to be like the takeover of the Alexes. And if you want to be a part of all that, or just come talk to some amazing trans people that have been joining the Transig Discord lately, link to that will be down in the description below, along with my Blue Sky, where I just get mad at stuff, which somehow some of you guys want to see. I don't know. That's down there with Twitch and the rest. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Ooh, you wanna come and get me?